What's up guys, welcome to another video. And before I do say I'm a freshman and neuroscience student at UCLA. I have just finished my first round of finals, meaning I also finished my first quarter, my first term of the year. And actually, I recently just got back my final grades, as well as some unsettling news for our winter quarter next month. So I figured now would be a good time to have a little reflection on what I've been through so far. So in this video, I'll give you a bit of a rundown of my academics, how classes went, the social scene, the school atmosphere, and overall how this quarter went for me. So let's get started. Now, first and foremost, we gotta talk about the classes. We gotta remember we're in college to learn and all that. As a neuroscience student, I took some prerequisite classes that a lot of us life science majors have to take in preparation for our major. So we were all kind of taking the same classes. I took general chemistry and then mathematics for life scientists, and then I took a GE course as my third class. Overall, I'd say that the course content is pretty dense, which makes the course rigor in general a bit higher than it was in high school, but that was kind of expected. So there's definitely a lot more required and recommended reading in general. A lot of that reading is pretty necessary to understand the material that we go over in class. So skipping that stuff is at your own risk, and it's a pretty big risk too, because a lot of that stuff is content tested on tests. Studying was pretty crucial to me succeeding in my classes. You know, for every test that came up, you gotta study long term, 1 or 2 weeks in advance, at least for me. Some people are doing more, some people doing less, but it all really just depends on you. So my classes were in person, one was online. I think my online class was the easiest, but it was also the one I paid the least attention to. By the end of the quarter, it was my last final, and it was the one I was stressing over the most, so that was an experience. My in-person classes, I felt were a lot more high stakes in general. I felt like I had to pay way more attention to them. I had a good handle on them throughout the entire quarter. The workload, there were definitely some times where I felt a bit overwhelmed, mostly because of all the reading and the writing that I had to do from my GE course actually. I felt like I had to sometimes cut my losses and just prioritize certain things and get them done. One example is because for me, I'm a person who really values sleep, so if something is not done by like midnight, then it becomes the next day's problem. Making decisions like that sometimes cause issues, and sometimes they're no problem at all. You really just gotta be comfortable with whatever decisions you make and comfortable with the consequences that come with them. But in the end, overall, I was really pleased with my grades. I exceeded my expectations, so I was really happy about that. I just need to kind of fine-tune some of my strategies so I don't have some of the same issues I bumped into this quarter, next quarter. Now moving on to extracurriculars, this is one area I actually feel like I was really lacking in. I remember in like the beginning of the quarter, they had this big activities fair where you got to see all the clubs. I took like a couple dozen flyers for their clubs, and I was sure I would join some of them. But as time went on, I kind of just forgot about it all, and my urge to join something dwindled away. It just became like an afterthought to me, to be honest. I will say that I ended up joining some ethnic related groups, but that happened towards the end of the quarter. But it's already been nice to be a part of a community and feel that closeness. So I can tell that's definitely the way to go in the future, to be joining these communities and organizations on campus that you find yourself fitting in with. Now that kind of brings me to my next subject, which is the social scene and being Black on campus, because that's always interesting. I have personally found it very easy to make friends here. What lots of people have said about the first week of college is true. You know, everybody is looking to make friends. Nobody wants to be alone. So if nobody's coming to you, the best thing to do is just go to them, ask them something, and start a conversation, and then become friends with them. And that's exactly what I did, not just in the beginning, but throughout the entire 10 weeks that we were at school. I was meeting people all the time in my classes, at the gym, in the dining halls, and in my residential hall. Everybody here is pretty genuine, but above that, there are a lot of deep thinkers. I was able to have a lot of like deep, or at least meaningful conversations with a lot of these people very quickly. And that's how like these friendships start. So that's definitely a good thing. And I'm very thankful to be able to meet all these people that I wouldn't have been able to meet otherwise, you know? That being said, I was pretty unhappy with how few Black people I was able to see and meet for a long while on campus. It was pretty hard for me to find any Black students at school for a pretty long time. I'd say like the first 6 or 7 weeks. We only make up about 4% of the student population, a lovely statistic. So maybe I'm a bit more surprised than I should have been, but still it was kind of upsetting. There are a lot of people of color in general, but Black people specifically, we make up a very small percentage of the school. I saw some black women in my classes and passing through, walking around, but black men seemed especially scarce on campus. Me walking around, I felt like I was an endangered species or something. One day I decided to actively look out for my people, and it worked really quickly. I decided to look around some of the ethnic organizations and clubs and some of the fraternities of the NHBC, and quickly I started to find them. I got myself plugged in and involved a bit more, and I got involved in some of their programs too. And it's been really great having that community carried me through the last few weeks of school. And all that brings me to one point that I really gotta stress for like the social scene in general. If you wanna meet people and you wanna make friends, at least in college, probably in life, you need to put yourself out there, because there's no guarantee that people will come to you. The only guarantee to make friends is if you go out to them. Everybody here is really receptive to meeting people, so you just gotta take that first step, and you gotta be active in looking for the clubs, the groups, and the friends that you want to make, people you wanna be in your life. You gotta go out and find them yourself and take that first step, and then everything else will fall into place. That's what I can say from my personal experience. But yeah, as far as for the social atmosphere, you know, there's a lot of school spirit here, definitely. Feels like freshmen here at least love it here. Everybody has lots of energy for the school. You know, parties are great, tailgates are great, sporting events are pretty hype. And if you go to any event, all the people who are there want to be there. You're gonna have a good time because everybody is trying to go there to have a good time. And that's really good too. Last thing I want to talk about, my spending, which is of course pretty important. So I got a summer job so I can handle some of my week by week expenses, not part of my tuition and dorming, which is thankfully covered by my family. Love you. There are some things on my tuition cover, like my dining plan, of course my dorming, going to the gym, that stuff. If you want to explore things outside of campus, then you're gonna have to pay up. Because I don't have a car, and LA is a pretty big city, kind of hard to get around without a car. Although I will say, we do have better busing than I was expecting. You can go to downtown LA, you can go to Santa Monica, you can go to the beaches. It's not too bad. It's just that you gotta pay for everyone, and you gotta plan pretty well for the busing routes, you know, like pick you up, get you back to campus on time. And I feel like I just didn't have too much time for that. I did go out of Westwood, I should say, a couple times, but not as much as I had hoped to. But I was also pretty busy with schoolwork, and I didn't eat out as much. I mainly ate at the dining halls on campus. So in all, most of my spending came from buying clothes that I wanted, or just general day-to-day expenses that I needed, you know, like a stick of gum or something. I wouldn't say I was too smart, because I probably bought some clothes that I didn't really need, but oh well, you know. We live and we make mistakes, we grow. Overall though, I didn't spend too much, and I think my budgeting was okay, but Los Angeles is a pretty expensive city. Everything here is a bit more expensive than home, I feel. So definitely keep that in mind if you're ever gonna move out here for school, because you gotta be on a budget. You know, we're college students, and this city and even this school takes lots of chances to take your money. So just be wary of that, you know? But yeah, that was my quarter. Overall, it's been pretty great, my experience so far. Hopefully this provided some insight for you, especially if any of you are considering going to the school, want to know what it's like. For somebody like me, if you expect to be in the same situation as me, this should give you a good idea of what to expect. If you're a freshman like me in college, or even if you're a freshman in high school, I'd love to know how your first semester of this all went, you know, how that first experience is going. Leave a comment, let me know, and let's talk about it. Also, my YouTube is growing bit by bit. I just hit my goal of 100 subscribers before the end of the year, which is amazing. I'm really thankful for that, and I'm very thankful for you all for that too. I appreciate it so much. You don't even know. I appreciate it so much. It's so much fun making videos on campus. A lot of work, but a lot of fun. As for me, I do plan on being a bit more proactive, a bit more busy next quarter. I'll be taking 4 classes instead of 3. And I plan to take my first steps to getting into some lab work. And I also do want to explore Los Angeles a bit more than I did. So hopefully next quarter I will be able to do all that. Sounds like a lot in my head, but we're gonna try and do our best. I want to wish you all a very Merry Christmas. Hope you're taking this time to treat yourself, spend it with family, enjoy your time off, reflecting on the year, and preparing to have a great 2022, which may or may not be the next time I see you. But that's it from me from now, and I will see you all later.